Right, so let's continue with lesson 77, part two. So this will be quite short, but we'll also look at the example or the exercise and some of the links that are going to come at the end of the lesson. Right, I just wanted to segment it basically because I want outside broadcast to sit separately from the brand ambassador part that is in the first section and in the first part of the video. And so again, outside broadcasts. Let's get into that and let's not waste any time. What do you understand of an outside broadcast or from an outside broadcast? I'm sure you've attended one at some point in your life as well. That's when the station will have either a roaming studio, right? Or they will set up a obviously all the equipment, whatever it is, desk, have we'll have obviously a transmission line that will connect them to the studio. There'll be a studio controller that'll make sure that the entire broadcast obviously goes smoothly from the station side. I'm saying so at the radio station itself. And then we're not getting into technicalities. Also, I'm going to be very transparent with you in terms of technicalities. I know very borderline stuff when it actually comes to the setup of an outside broadcast. I do know how it obviously works. In terms of obviously I've done enough of them and attended enough just as also I mean well why not it's always fun to see a station that you do like listening to and obviously again seeing some broadcasters do their thing. It's a nice way again definitely for that on the ground kind of marketing, definitely getting hands on with with a particular listener or the listeners that do attend this particular event. Again, outside broadcasts obviously linked to promotions, right? We want to be able to see an activation, ideally, that has been running on the station, and then partner that up with a particular, at a location that might be, coinciding with a particular brand, right? So let's say it might be at sometimes at a shopping mall, right? So it would be at a sporting event or like I say, a cultural event, art opening, like an art gallery opening, or like a Comic Con or whatever it is. That would be these are great opportunities to make sure that we again make sure that both we and the clients are getting what we need from this particular broadcast, right? So so again, also it serves a dual purpose as both a marketing tool for the radio station, but also it's a commercial asset for brands to tap into, right? Okay. They're often misunderstood. So let's go have a look at some of the myths, I would say, right? So outside broadcasts offer the listeners a chance to see and engage their favorite personalities, right? So they're very big fans of the show, they're very big fans of the station as well. They want to see more than just what you see on digital, right? And what they can see virtually or hear on air, whatever it may be. But now, again, it's that kind of like, again, we can touch and feel the brand. We can definitely see the person in action. It's quite, gives you a little bit of a, like a spark in your chest. Like even now, I even got one just thinking of that genuine connection, which is great. It's always a great vibe, to be sitting you as a presenter are fueled by the energy that you are surrounded by. Having said that, yes, okay, some outside broadcasts might not be as popular. I'm saying so widely filled with people as others. Again, sometimes they are scheduled during work periods or work time, right? And maybe the location is too far for certain listeners to drive all the way just to maybe attend that particular broadcast, whatever it may be, right? Maybe it's a school doesn't really fit, like for example, any old person to be going there, and maybe a school is promoting like new applications, or they're trying to showcase their top students, whatever it may be, right? Artwork, whatever it is that I've seen a couple of schools actually do. Um, and it's about and for think about those clients that are obviously wanting revenue at some other point to come from this particular marketing tool, right? So a good bond is improved through one-on-one interaction, conversation. We bring in a lot of the people that are there. We definitely feature the and spotlight the client that is making it possible. We feature the particular venue, whatever it may be. Make sure that if we are doing something that lasts maybe the whole day sometimes, right? So big events, We might have multiple shows that are actually broadcast there, that people are coming down, get them down there, and make sure that they do have an added value experience, right, from actually being there. It's not boring. It's well prepared. Definitely a total, when I say a total amount, of 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10, preparation is super essential for an outside broadcast because, one, obviously the technical aspect from that, everything has to flow immediately. For those people listening at home, they got to get that outside feel. They got to get that very fluid, convergence that you would find on a normal show, right? So listening to an outside broadcast shouldn't lower the quality and the standard of your station as well and of your product. So again, that prep, right, and that recon and all that type of stuff that we put into the planning of this outside broadcast is definitely, like I said, an 11, 12, 15 out of 10, right? More so in case something does go wrong. We have different, obviously contingencies and et cetera, right? That back in studio, for example, let's say we lose a connection um, through whatever it is, maybe an ISDN line, which we normally use for an outside broadcast, right? We would, let's say, have that person that is a studio controller playing some music, for example, until, let's say, the broadcast is back live, right? Okay. If the station has decided to broadcast the show from a venue outside of the studio, they will create a cause to do so. There must be a reason, like I said just earlier on this slide, right? For the most part, the format of the show will remain unchanged, right? The features, the content, the interactions that the listeners are familiar with are still delivered, depending also on, again, kind of the dictation from the client as well. So the directive is a better word to actually use. The directive might actually change. You might have to focus a lot more on the product, again, on the brand, on the client, and maybe have to drop, let's say, non-essential features that maybe aren't branded, that aren't sponsored, whatever it may be. Things like call outs, whatever, might have to be kept very limited because we don't want to complicate, again, that whole broadcast and, again, for the potential of something going wrong. But if it is stuff that's, so again, these very traditional, I mean, we're still going to have news. If we can have news, we can have a feature, right? We might change the feature slightly so that we can definitely include people that are at the event instead of, let's say, people that are sending through, let's say, voice notes, or maybe are interacting on a phone line or whatever it may be, right? And that might make it a bit more, let's say, palatable for the whole process as well. So that's always a good idea, right? Okay. I would probably leave like generic callouts, whatever it is, particularly unique callouts that you are preparing for that for a show in general, to leave it back to when you go, or leave that to when you go back to studio. Right. Okay. All right, so some short points here. The show will incorporate interactions with a live audience instead of interaction over the phone or social media. I just said that, right? And outside broadcasts also have a different sound quality because the microphones pick up the background noise. The atmosphere is great. Sometimes we obviously have to position, make sure, obviously, we know about the weather as well. So let's say it's raining or it's windy, we've got to be able to make sure that we have, again, a plan B that we can broadcast inside or under cover. Definitely, obviously, we don't want the equipment to get ruined or whatever it is. This is why 10 to 1, a roaming, when I say a roaming studio is better, something that's been set up in a van, um and there's like two mics there with a little small desk. It's got all like it's all got all the essentials. 10 to 1, what most stations actually, if they can afford that and put investment in that, will use that to, let's say, curb any, say, climate that might be a bit of an obstruction, right? So even a listener who cannot attend must get the feel, like I said there in before. Right. So while shows are not typically for sale, it is possible for a brand to take over and fully brand a specific show at the discretion of the station. So I just want to use, obviously, the one that we're starting at 909. We're starting a brand activation roadshow with Burger King, right? So Burger King will be the full sponsor for this roadshow that will continue for 2.5 months across Gauteng. So they are fully branded in those particular outside broadcasts that have been selected. So myself, my show is one of them. Nicole, who does the drive, will have is one of them, and the top 40, right, is also one of the shows. So the thing is that it's a Burger King intensive. We also try to not play specific advertising that might be conflicting with the Burger King. So, for example, like a Wimpy or a McDonald's or whatever would not make sense to be doing this while we're having an outside broadcast paid by for you and the listener, right? By Burger King, right? Um, but definitely we're allowed to have other adverts. That's obviously, let's not asking at all too much, right? So in the cases where this is an agreement to do an OB for a client, there will be a cost attached, right? Okay, we want to be able to make money, to like give you a little bit of idea. Remember, we are a commercial community. And we're getting just over 1 million, let's say, from Burger King to make sure that they are branded throughout these particular outside broadcasts. So I think it's about in total about 10, let's say. Right, and that's a lot of money. It's great for the station, and again, it obviously is easily quickly spent because we have to maintain and be able to do this type of thing more often. Right, bring in more awareness, bring in more advertising, bring in more clients, bring in more listeners, whatever it is, all for the bottom line. Okay, the brand essentially buys the opportunity to have the show broadcast from a venue of their choice. Like I said, in this case, Burger King, alongside with the station, have strategically decided on certain areas that are social areas, right? Like, for example, Jackal Creek, Kailami, whatever it may be, certain bar, like very popular social gathering areas, right? Areas, social areas of where people gather quite popularly, right? So it obviously depends on also the time of day and the day that obviously it's being broadcast on to pick the right place, to make sure that obviously it falls in within the listener's lifestyle. We want to make sure that a lot of people actually come, or the most people come, and that's obviously great. Okay, this allows the brand to have their radio campaign further integrated into the content. So again, for example, let's just take like Burger King. We want to make sure that we are making people eat burgers, or we are giving them vouchers or merchandise or whatever it is, right? Make sure that the Burger King brand is subliminally messaged through to the passive listener, so the one at home, for example, or active listener in this case, being the people at the event. Okay, brands sometimes mistake the OB as being as an event in itself that will naturally attract people to their venue. It's not true, right? Okay. There's many different factors. Like I said to you, you can't get there. You're not interested, particularly in that particular activation. Doesn't appeal to you. Maybe the artist that is performing is not maybe one of your favorites. You're not really an outside person. I don't know. There's many things that we do take into consideration, but we don't use them as excuses. We use them as factual backing. Right. However, a radio show is not dynamic enough to attract a live audience on its own. Right. We have to have the reason. So we partner up. Right. Okay. Right. So let's have a look at the OB can benefit listeners who are not present, obviously, the ones at home. And the content from the OB is very valuable, but it's still only media promotions and a branding opportunity. It's not designed to be the main attraction. I want to be able to make sure that the music is still on point, our imaging is still on point, that the brand is not lost in this, our brand. I'm saying the station brand as well. Right. It's really just, it's an added value thing. It's great. And again, it shows that the station has credibility, it's got again presence, and it's willing to do stuff than just over and above than just doing shows, like on air and from the studio, like where they are not foreigners, but basically almost anonymous in a way, um, to their own listener market. So let's look at this figure here. It's from the textbook, right? Some things to use, obviously, some aspects that we must look at for the outside broadcast itself, right? The reason, what benefit does the OB give to the station and the brand and the listener, all right? So we want to make sure that, again, we want to, if we're going to add some performances in there, they got to be in line with, let's say, the format, people that are charting, on our top 40, or just in terms of our playlist, our music list, our playlist, right? In terms of obviously the brand, is it connected to something that is within the listener's lifestyle, the listener too would probably turn up to this particular event and obviously want to, I don't know, they either are potential buyers or customers or people that already spend in terms of like say similar items maybe or are, let's say, loyal customers to that particular brand and its product or whatever it may be, right? The reasoning will be all tied in together. We'll formulate something cool and nice, and then we'll put it there. Keep it simple. Again, right? Keep it simple to make sure that it is effective. The time and place, location and time must complement each other and be appropriate for the audience and the brand as well. So again, think about their lifestyle. Think about if you are doing it, like I say, in during the lunchtime. Why? Where are you doing it? Are you doing it again, like we came to the campus, right? We know that we pre-promoted. There were a lot of students that enjoyed the outside broadcast. They came to the you know I say to the plaza. It's not the plaza, right? Okay, but to the canteen, just outside the canteen area, right? And there was we knew that we would have an active audience. It's fine, okay, because students could, let's say, maybe skip a class or two, whatever it is, to just come a little bit, just for a little while, should I say? I want to kind of promote that kind of behavior, but anyway, but come and enjoy. Anyway, it is a media campus, made a lot of sense. Let's connect. Let's see how outside broadcasts are done. It fit perfectly, right? Okay. But we must be aware that if we are aiming for a working audience, right, people that are at work, it doesn't really make sense to have the outside broadcast, during lunchtime anywhere else but at either, let's say a shopping center makes sense, right? Because we have a lot of like traffic that's going in and out. It doesn't really matter because we know that a lot of different types of people are going to be there. See that as well, and possibly be potential listeners that could come, but most definitely could be potential customers, right? But the time and place, definitely have to think about that audience and where they are going to be available, what's part of their lifestyle. What activities will accompany the OB to keep listeners engaged and excited, right? Giveaways, definitely. Interviews, definitely. Let's put you on air, definitely. So big names, definitely. Like, again, fun stuff, fun stuff that is also kept very short, to the point, in, out. They love the music. That's what they want. They want to see like talk radio at a place. That makes no sense, right? Okay. I'm not sure. I know that talk radio does do outside broadcasts once in a while, but it would make sense. Let's say that it's at a conference or whatever it is. It's at a senate or whatever. That makes sense, right? Anyway, advertising. How will the message about the event be distributed to the listeners to attract them to the event? So obviously on air, we definitely have to have a digital strategy in place. Definitely word of mouth. We've got to push, 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 tell somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. Definitely, again, on air, creating a little bit of buzz in terms of maybe giving away prizes if they can maybe name the artists that are going to be there or name the venues that we're going to be at this weekend or whatever it may be, to create a little bit of that awareness. Be like, oh, okay, something's happening, whatever it may be, right? Big thing on the big push on the digital media space, and definitely have a lot of our, obviously, our presenters being good ambassadors, and endorsing our own. Like, you don't get paid to endorse your own station. That's just a thing. I mean, you work for the station, get paid for that, right? But that's what we need. When you pull that all out there on all the stops, and really great advertising. Again, creative. Tell us what it's about. Tell us where to find you. Tell us where it's going to be. Like, keep it simple, and add a little bit of creativity if you want to make it funny, make it this, make it that, whatever it is. Right. Technical needs. So can the proposed venue actually accommodate the outside broadcast itself? Right. Very important that we do have, obviously, our power supplies and this, and we have, again, tents, and we have somewhere where it's going to be quiet enough to be able to broadcast without it sounding like complete chaos. Uh, Again, a recon, that from, obviously, TV. You go, you see a place, you go and see this might work well. And you will obviously have a discussion with the clients, will obviously attend that particular recon. Obviously, I don't know, the restaurant shop owners, whatever it may be, whoever it is that's within these many pronged interactions, right? And then the preparation. Ensure presenters and DJs have everything that they need to deliver smooth shows. The presenters can get so let's say something goes wrong, they can get distracted. Um, and we go, obviously, we always go back to music, whatever it may be, but don't let it be a complete disaster. Like have people that are in, like say technical support there, so that are active and on the ground, right? They don't go for smoke breaks, they don't go for this, whatever it is. They've got to sit there and they've got to make sure that everything is like it's a support structure for that DJ so that they can perform to their best ability. Some pictures, okay, the one on the right here, and the one on the left, that's odd, but it's okay. I mean, whatever. So the one on the right, let's say they're broadcasting from a hotel experience, and that's great. That's cool. Maybe a nice summer thing, or from a restaurant right in there. Right, chatting to some cooks or whatever it may be, and looks like a chef or whatever. Right, and this is the five drive team. So I think this was still when Nick. I'm not sure of the. I think this was when Nick was still doing it, right? Okay. And they look how simple that is, right? And this is for you might think, oh, five of them. Oh, where's all the stuff? That's all you need, basically, right? Five team coming in there. Probably a little bit more mics coming in, but definitely that's support. Some of the producers or a producer. I'm not too familiar with the team themselves. Definitely newsreader, sports reader, traffic, whatever it may be. Right. Okay. And you can see it was done during COVID. So I understand fully why that might be a minimal thing. Right. Setting. Right. So, okay. Crossings. So when a radio station can't do an OB, the studio may suggest a crossing to a presenter that is somewhere at an event. We're going to do live crossings to the actual station itself, and we might do them intermittently. So we'll set certain times. Again, also brand that it is also paid for. Again, if we are covering it, if you have a client, whatever it may be, the crossing is when a presenter or radio station ambassador attends an event that's relevant to the audience. Again, right? The studio cuts across to the presenter during the normal broadcast, and we tell that particular person, the contributor, whoever is there, right, at the event, to please move to a quieter area that still has a bit of the ambience, so that we believe that they're at a concert, that they are at an unveiling, that they are at a uh, auction, I don't know, whatever it is, right? Okay. Um, so we do have to also again manage that kind of like obviously that atmosphere, and so we get a good um link also, a nice clear link as well. Crossings also need to be succinct, so short, and we need to include brevity. Make sure that we can the person that is speaking doesn't stay on too long, right? They say exactly what needs to be said about that particular time, what's been happening, update us on what needs to be updated, right? That's why they are there. And again, like we then go back to music, okay? Because but it can be very distracting as well. If we carry on too long, we can come back to them, right? A little bit later on in the show, give us a bit of an update. So I hear that this has happened, whatever it may be, right? So crossings don't always have to be with a particularly branded like outside broadcast and OB, but it can be for, let's say, a political event or whatever it is. We can get to the journalists, have them obviously cross over to us, or we can have contributors that we can have a list of in our database. We know that the contributor is a member of the society, whatever it may be, and they can obviously give us like the lowdown of what is happening wherever. Right? Okay, producers got to be on point for the show to make this obviously a reality. So the presenters at the end of the day, everyone works as a team. Can be used as a marketing and commercial tool. Again, different. What is it? Different settings, different place, different conditions, different. Yeah, uh, we can do it in different ways, as I've explained as well. It doesn't always have to be connected to a client, right? Crossings are far more cost effective than OBs and don't require as much preparation, planning, and technical setup. Right, obviously, that's great, right? So, again, we don't have to have the OB van there, all the equipment, like we said, um, and we don't have to be fearful of that. If things go down, things, stop working, whatever, we might have, a freezing of equipment or systems or whatever it may be, right? Right. We can cross all that, and that is a pun intended. Cross that all out in a crossing. A crossing is a valuable option for a busy event where a station wants to capture lots of content from multiple locations at the same time. We can cross to different people at different places. So again, for let's say the voting elections, it would be great to have our journalists in different locations that are obviously voting within our region, and we can obviously get a lot of the lowdown within just one show, right? And that's nice as well. When a station agrees to a crossing, some of the parameters involved in doing an OB are also at play. And the most obviously important or relevant is the listener relevance, right? Right. The most important or prominent one is the listener relevance. So what is it? What is in it for the listener? Okay. Very important to play everything out in our minds and play it out in preparation and be like, okay, great, this definitely is informing, entertaining, or educating our listener at any one point. Otherwise, why are we putting it on air? So when crossings are being exploited commercially, the nature of the content is often enhanced to encourage listeners to stay tuned. Like I said, we've got to make it entertaining. If we are going to be like milking an advertise like a commercial cow here, then we've got to make it entertaining for again the people to that are listening at home to be like, okay, cool, like I want to keep listening, um, and not make it a private situational experience, right? So, if used correctly, the OBs and crossings can definitely enhance a campaign and its impact on the listeners. All right. So, let's discuss. Okay, so there you can go and have a look at the top 10 radio promotions from around the world. Okay, so let me just quickly, I'm going to switch just to share. That open up there. I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to share, look at some of them. So not to discuss fully, too much in length, you might actually recognize, right? Okay, some of these ideas, right? So if I have a look, in terms of what I'm asking everyone about, right? So let's look at yeah, some of these promotions, right? Cork's Red FM, the chosen one. Over the course of this promotion, the station gave a total of 35,000 euros to its lucky participants, catapulting it into the public eye. Well, it doesn't really um, tell us what the chosen one is about, which a bit of a fail here. We can Google that, that's fine. Sydney's Kiss FM, so Hyundai giveaway during this promotion, 12 Hyundais. So i30s cars, and that was very famous at a point, very popular at a point. Was I watched Australian Survivor and also the Australian Amazing Race. They were giving away these i30s. It's very popular cars down in the outback there. Were given to callers on the show. Within 24 hours, the station received significant coverage online, in press, and on TV, with a total of 1 million calls received. Because why not? I want to get a free car. That's amazing, right? Make the prizes worthwhile. All right, so looking at different types of promotions, I saw something here, 947 FM, the Samsung Mystery Box nominated the best multi-channel promotion at the South African Liberty Radio Awards. This promotion of the Samsung Galaxy S7 provided a challenge for listeners to find and unlock the mystery box. Right, okay. So I mean that's pretty. I think that's pretty standard as well. A lot of obviously, I mean, everyone wants to win new phones, etc. I'm sure money was also given. I didn't listen to that one particularly, but it was nice to feature one of the South Africans. Right, so Bauer Radio Network, one of the really, really, really big conglomerates. So in radio, pets over several of these stations. Bauer ran promotional material on pets. Over 250,000 people were reached in this informational and educational promotion. Right. Yep. So I'm going to just stop that share over here, and I'm going to share. So okay. Right. So again, looking at this different, you can go and look at this different blog here, looking at listener value, radio station value, and advertising value. I think for just so that we can understand it further, I just want to use one example. Right. Apologies for the back and forth. Let me share this because I just want to make it understandable, so that you know that you can do the activity, right? So, so uh, in terms of just this blog that you can go and read here, again, what is it? What is in it for the listener? Pop-ups. Anyway, radio station values. So does it again? Is it in line with our brand and our mission vision statement here? Radio stations satisfy two primary needs with these particular types of obviously promotions. The needs of the listener, the needs of the advertiser. Right. Without listeners, radio stations can't sell ads to the local businesses like yours. Right, you the client, and without advertisers, stations can't survive. Right. To keep radio free for listeners, they must do a trade off between the two. When you think of commercial free music streaming services like Spotify or SiriusXM, the listener is agreeing to pay a monthly fee to avoid those advertisements. Otherwise, they'd be still they would still be present. The same goes for radio. Agreed? So if you do want a little bit more of a premium experience, you would pay for it, and it's worth it, right? I'm just saying, well, I don't do it personally, but it's a very small fee, and it's a very small amount. Like it's a small price to pay, right? The advertiser's value comes in with the understanding of being able to place the product within the listener's lifestyles. Listeners that live, work, spend their money in their community. That's where you want to be at. All right. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna share back there, right? Just to close the lesson here. Excuse that over there. So do activity 9C on page 367. Second. Paging. There we go. All right. All right, 367. And you are going to do 1 and 2. Remember, the last one was also in through. No, you're going to do 1 and 2, so that the next lesson you can do 3. Number 1 says consider the concepts of competitions and promos. Then answer the following questions. A, in your own words, briefly define with obviously what you think a promotion is. B is what you think a competition is, and in 3 sentences, explain the difference between a competition and a promotion, right? Number 2 says briefly explain why a power spot is given a 75% loading, right? So 75% loading, why would increase that amount on it? And yeah, I will see you for your, I think it's the last lesson of theory. It's coming up next. But hope you learned something. We'll chat on our one-to-one sessions or in our one-to-one sessions this Saturday as described in the WhatsApp group. Okay, see you next